Everyone. Thanks for coming this morning. My name is Kelsey Doom, and I'm President and CEO of the Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce. We're hosting this forum this morning. I want to start out by introducing a friend of ours. We are going to be working more closely with the Political Science Club on campus, and so I want to introduce Andrew Cottrell to come up and say a few words about the work that they're doing.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming in on a Saturday morning here in March. So as she said, my name is Andrew Cottrell. I am president of the Political Science Club at SDSU. I'm a freshman studying political science and history, because history goes with political science these days. I don't know. Anyway, so I just want to first off, can we give a round of applause for everyone that's involved in hosting this real quick? I think I'll appreciate that. Anyway, so I'll try and keep this brief here. So the Political Science Club is really trying to get more involved in the community here on Brookings, as well as Kelsey said, here to help the task force here, the public relations force they have going down. And recently, the Political Science Club was privileged to go to Sioux Falls, as well as touring some of the offices up there and meeting the mayor of Sioux Falls, Paul Tankin. And he said something that I think is pretty reliable. He said that city government is perhaps more important than state government or federal government because people are more likely to see the immediate and tangible effects. I think I would agree with that 100%, and that really does show the importance of local government and getting out there and voting here, just in your state government, your federal government, but of course, and more importantly, this city government. And I'm going to turn this back over to Kelsey, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Okay, so first off, we want to thank our sponsors for our Political Affairs Committee. We have Vision Brookings. They are a private investment group in town that advocates for public policy and things like that. Cool Beans Coffee, we all know Cool Beans, and our partners over at the Brookings Economic Development Corporation. We also want to thank our moderator today, Angie Boersma. She's previous county commissioner and owner of ID8 Architecture, downtown Brookings. And then also just remind you, Election Day is April 9th, and this forum will be rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. and Monday at 8 p.m. on the city channel. So tell your friends if you want to have a St. Patrick's Day party and watch the city council forum. I think that would be a great use of time. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Angie, and she's going to get us going for this next 60 minutes.
Good morning. Thanks, Kelsey. Thanks, candidates, for being here, and certainly thanks to all the watching public, listening public, even those listening to the rebroadcast. We're going to get started this morning with a 3-minute opening comment section for each of the candidates. And just a reminder to the candidates to speak directly into the microphone so that it comes through on the televised broadcast as well. Certainly your questions are open for us to include this morning. The question forms are at the back of the room, and if you need someone to bring you a question form, please raise your hand and Russ will probably take care of you. All right, with that, let's get started. We will start this morning right on this side. So we're going to start with Councilman Nick Wendell.
Thank you, Angie. As Angie said, my name is Nick Wendell. Since 2016, I've served on the Brookings City Council, and since 2021, I've served as the deputy mayor. I'm a native of Gregory, South Dakota. I came to Brookings about 25 years ago to attend South Dakota State University, where I got a bachelor's and a master's degree and spent about the first 10 years of my career. Since 2017, I've served as the first executive director of the South Dakota Board of Technical Education, where I provide support and oversight to the state's 4 technical colleges. I live here in Brookings with my 16-year-old daughter, Amelia, who is a sophomore at Brookings High School. During my years on the council, I have been a champion for the investment in important infrastructure projects, the kind of projects that ensure we have safe, connected, efficient neighborhoods that are also connected to the core footprint of the community. In addition to infrastructure investments, I have been a supporter of quality of life initiatives. During my time on the council, we have invested in the Brookings Aquatic Center, in the Brookings Library, in the Brookings Activity Center, in the Parks and Recreation System, in public art. In addition to quality of life initiatives and infrastructure investments, I've been a champion for economic development. I'm thrilled to say that we're launching the Downtown Master Plan The city was integral in ensuring the community has a third interchange off of Interstate 29, and we're thoughtfully developing the commercial corridor connected to that interchange, and we're paving the way for development on the east side of the interstate, the types of economic development initiatives that ensure we have a vibrant and diverse retail landscape, and that we're generating sales tax to support those infrastructure and quality of life initiatives. I've also been a champion for workforce and affordable housing, for access to education and childcare, for public health and in particular mental health resources, for safety and security in support of our law enforcement and fire safety community. During my time on the council, perhaps the lesson that I've learned that is most dominant is that all of those priorities are interconnected. And so if we're to make sustained and impactful progress in any one area, we also have to invest time, energy, and resources in other priority areas. I have tried to bring that holistic perspective to my service on the council to make well-intentioned, well-informed decisions that do the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. I'd like an opportunity to continue serving in that spirit. Looking forward to the conversation this morning, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Moving on, Wayne Avery.
Thank you, Angie, and thank you to the Brookings Chamber Governmental Affairs Committee for hosting today's forum. And thank you to the people who are attending today. I appreciate that you've come out this morning to hear us. So, I was honored to be appointed to the Brookings City Council in 2021 and elected to the council in 2022. I enjoyed learning the processes and procedures that the council uses to set and achieve policy and keep Brookings moving forward. I believe that I bring a common sense approach to solving problems that face our community. I retired on December 31st, 2020 as a senior business banker after a 45-year career in the banking industry. My job was to build relationships, obtain and analyze financial information, communicate with customers and management, and make decisions. My job was to figure out how to get things done. I have been involved in business development. I have worked with developers on large-scale projects, including single-family housing developments, multifamily housing projects, and a wide variety of small business applications. I am familiar with how projects are funded. I have worked with financial tax increment financing districts. I have been in the room where major decisions are made. I've worked within an environment with rules and regulations, and I have worked where accuracy and attention to detail are the expectation. I believe that my business experience has served me well during my service on the City Council. For the last 3 years, I have served as an ex officio member of the Brookings Municipal Utilities Board and previously served 5 years on the City Planning Commission. I have worked with my fellow council members to make significant strides forward in the areas of strategic planning, funding for mental health facilities, childcare, and food security. I want to be on the team that continues the current focus on innovation and progress. I have been a lifelong volunteer in Brookings. I have been fortunate to have leadership roles in Kiwanis, Advanced Foundation, Pheasants Forever, United Way, and most recently, Feeding Brookings. Community service requires a commitment to a cause or a goal, a willingness to work hard, respect the other people's ideas, the ability to communicate effectively, and realize that success is not always measured in dollars and cents. There are many parallels between business, community service, and city government. First, just understanding the rules and regulations is important. I bring my willingness to learn the issues, listen to the concerns, and be able to interact with people and achieve consensus. I have been very engaged in efforts to ensure that Brookings continues to be a community.
Thanks, Wayne. Sorry, your time is up. Apologies.
Okay.
Kelsey's going to show you the 10-second warning. So just a reminder, you're good. We're going to move on to the third candidate, Al
That was about
Ostrom. Okay, great. Sounds awesome. We're going to move on to the third candidate for opening comments, Al Ostrom.
Good morning. Like Nick and Wayne said, thank you all for being here this morning. It's great. People want to come out, listen. Need to talk a little closer. Okay. A little bit about me. I've been a businessman for over 30 years. I came to Brookings to go to SDSU, and after attending SDSU, I took over the family business and been involved in several other small businesses in the Brookings area and also throughout eastern South Dakota. I reside here with my wife, Amy, and our 2 children who both attended Brookings School District. I got my first business loan when I was 15 years old. So I have been in small business my entire life. It's basically, sometimes it even consumes your life. I know all the ins and outs of dealing with project managers, engineers, homeowners, studying budgets, dealing with plans. I've sat in the room with people on multi-million-dollar projects trying to pencil through how do we erase some money here to gain in the budget and stuff like that. It's, and the last 20 years, I have basically been working for the youth in a community. I have coached softball, baseball, t-ball. I was a treasurer for the Brookings Ice Skating Association and a fundraising coordinator for many years. Both of my children are now 20 and 17, so I'm at the point in my life where I wanted to continue public service, but in a different capacity. One of the biggest things that I am looking forward to bring to the citizens of Brookings is I'm looking at public engagement as my number one priority. A while back, I was reading one night, and I saw a quote from somebody, and I can't even remember who it was, but her quote was, "Listen, learn, lead." And I read that, and I was like, that really makes sense. But the most important part of it is it has to be done in that order. So we need to listen, take that, learn from it, and then we can lead. And the biggest thing is to engage with the community, find out what they're thinking, so that you can create dialogue. When we create dialogue creates ideas. We might think that I have the answer for everything, but, when you create that dialogue, you might realize that, there's something I never thought of. My wife is in the room, so it's a little hard to admit this, but I don't know everything. But Brookings is a wonderful community. We have an entire community full of resources, and we just need to make sure that we're tapping into those resources so that working as a team, we can make the best informed decisions possible. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move into the next section of the morning, and folks will get 1 minute to answer each of the questions posed. We'll rotate who's the first to respond so that it continues to give folks a fresh opportunity. So the very first question will be posed first to Wayne Avery, and it's related to affordable housing. So if re-elected to the council, what initiatives would you support or propose that would help to balance affordable housing options for long-term residents as well as students?
Well, we've been involved in a number of affordable or workforce housing projects, and when you come right down to it, you find that the cost of a housing project is just set. I mean, there's the only way to reduce the cost is to share those costs with the various governmental agencies or someone, and we've been successful in doing that. We've been willing to use the TIF financing for projects. We've cooperated and helped people obtain grants through the state funding sources that they have. So we've been really fortunate and had at least one major ribbon cutting here within the last year of a really successful project. And we're looking forward to doing more of that. And we're always willing to, if there's an adjustment that needs to be made on an ordinance or something that facilitates that, we're willing to do that. So.
Thank you. Next up, Al Ostrom, same question to you.
Thanks. I've been an advocate for affordable housing for many years through different entities that I'm involved with. But the biggest thing that I feel about affordable housing is what is affordable and how does that relate to the people who are searching for the housing. And the biggest thing with government is to make sure that we're not doing anything that is standing in the way. We have to have regulations, rules, zoning, ordinances, and all that stuff, but we have to make sure that they make sense so that we're not a roadblock causing extra costs to the developers, to the builders. Because it's no secret that builders, developers are in it as a business. The purpose of any business is to make money. So if they have extra costs, that gets passed down to the consumer, the renter. So we need to do our part to make sure that we're not creating any roadblocks.
Thank you. And finally, Nick Wendell.
We know that access to workforce and affordable housing is a major issue. We know every major employer in the community would say that our housing challenges are impacting their ability to recruit and retain high-quality workers. We have, as Wayne noted, implemented incentives through the TIF program to encourage the development of housing. We've also provided land, which can be a particular cost in housing. And we've really tried to be good partners with the development community to encourage the creation of workforce housing. We also have tried to be thoughtful about how we reinvest in our core neighborhoods, where it could be more affordable to rehabilitate existing houses on existing blocks that are already connected to infrastructure, rather than sprawling out into new neighborhoods. So I think it's a mix of housing types that also help us, so that if you're reaching retirement age and you'd like to sell your home in the Hillcrest neighborhood, that you could move into a different housing type that might free up that housing stock for a young family or a young professional that would want to move into a home in the core of the community. So it's going to take a variety of approaches.
Next question, we'll start with Al. How do you think the council and the city should be involved in ensuring that the downtown area is an asset to the community?
Downtown is made up of many small businesses, and I have always been an advocate for supporting local, and I think the city needs to do everything we can to support all local businesses, especially downtown, because it is the heart of the community. Like I said before, it's all a matter of working together as a team to come up with the best answers that can achieve those goals. Without those small businesses, one of the best things that you see on Facebook is support your small businesses, because Amazon's not going to support your kid's soccer team. So we need to get out, support those small businesses, give them what they need so that they can survive and thrive and make Brookings the best possible.
Thank you. Nick?
I had noted in my introduction that I'm excited about the forthcoming downtown master plan, which really will look at how we maximize space in the core of the community, how we can develop retail and housing opportunities in the core of the community. Second floor housing, I think, brings a different user into our core business district. I hope there's no one in the audience from Mitchell or Aberdeen or Huron, but during my time on the council, I've often reminded folks that one of the things that makes Brookings special among mid-sized cities in South Dakota is our downtown. It's really the heart of the community. And so as a council, we have supported Downtown Brookings. We support an executive director that really thinks about programming and events and how you drive retail traffic downtown. And this master plan will really allow us to think about how we maximize the square footage downtown, whether that's green space, event space. We've also talked about how we ensure that the buildings downtown are maintained in a minimum code, so that if you want to start a storefront downtown, you can have confidence that the investment you're making in that building will have an ROI and that you can safely operate in the core of the community. And so it's a variety of factors that I think contribute to a thriving downtown district, and we continue to invest in that district, and I think it'll pay dividends into the future.
Great. Lastly, Wayne.
Well, I'd have to agree with what Nick said, but I was able to attend the meeting that we had at the Children's Museum, and it was people that were all interested in the downtown master plan and the development of that. And it was just really interested in all the ideas that were brought forth that night, and all the different people that were just seemed very excited about the whole idea that we could get together and actually have some new, fresh ideas, that things that could improve our downtown. And I think there's a commitment there from the city and from the people involved in the downtown that I think we're going to see real progress. And I expect that the city council will be all in favor of anything that can come out and help with that.
Thank you. Let's see, the next one, I believe, Al, is it your turn to go first? Then it's Nick's turn. See, I have a hard time keeping track, guys. It's okay. All right, so next question, we'll start with Nick. The city has a few financial incentive tools available for promoting economic development and continued growth for the city. Please discuss your position on the use of incentives like TIF, tax increment financing, discretionary formula, and similar programs, including when it may or may not be appropriate.
I'm a believer that if we can incentivize business growth and it makes good sense that would have a benefit long term to the community, that we should employ those incentives, whether that's helping an existing business expand their footprint so that they're employing more workers and have more of a long-term commitment to the community. I think there's a lot of wisdom in employing some of those incentives. It also is an opportunity for us to invest in the area around and associated with those businesses, and we've taken advantage of some of those opportunities. I think one of the ways I've approached that balance during my time on the council is just ensuring that we're not causing any unintended consequences to other businesses that might be operating in that same sphere. And so if we're incentivizing a manufacturer in one sector that we know can grow their footprint in Brookings and employ more folks and produce more products long-term here, then the incentive makes good sense. But if it would have undue consequences to a competitor also trying to operate in the community, I think we've tried to be really thoughtful about when we employ those incentives.
Thank you. Wayne, same question to you.
Well, in the past, we have used different things that we have at our disposal, and the primary thing is the tax increment financing. And we've tried to encourage projects that are beneficial to our community, and recently, these last few years, it's been a lot of the affordable housing type projects, and I think we would continue to do that, but we don't want to encourage things that that we already have, or that we want to look at innovation, and we want to look at some new types of housing, and we want to look at things that wouldn't happen but for our participation with the TIF or whatever incentive programs we have. So I think we'll continue to do that, continue to try to encourage our developers and our business people to do their thing.
Sounds great. Same question to you, Al.
Like I stated earlier, I mean, you're probably not going to find anybody who's more pro-business, more business growth than I am. I would support any way that we can promote business growth in Brookings. There is a little bit have to be careful. It's kind of a fine line between making sure that we're not competing. The city's not providing funding that competes with existing businesses. Been some controversies in the past. Hopefully a lot of lessons have been learned, but we need to be inviting. If anybody wants to open a small business in Brookings, that is great. And the city should be all for that, do everything they can to help it. But like I said, we have to be a little bit careful that we're not competing with existing businesses. Because those existing businesses that have been here for years, that's what helped build Brookings, and that's what's made Brookings a special place for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move forward into a little bit of discussion related to campus community relationships. And the question goes first to Wayne. How would you implement strategies to foster a stronger relationship between the community and the student population while ensuring access to resources for both groups?
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Just a week ago, I got to attend a student senate meeting, and I didn't know actually what I was getting into when I walked in the room, and we saw a room about this size with all these very serious-looking students in it, but that were very interested in what we were doing in city government. And we asked him, what would you like us to do, or how much engagement would you want from us? And we got some good feedback, and they asked about city government. I think before we left the meeting that night, we had someone that wanted to be on one of our volunteer boards. So we're actually considering some different ways to engage with students, and our message to them that night was that we realize how important the university is to this community, and how important those students are to our community, and anything we can do to foster that relationship, we're gonna try to do that.
Thank you. Al?
As far as the relationship with SDSU and the city of Brookings, we both need each other. Brookings needs SDSU, and SDSU needs Brookings to exist as we know it. It needs to be a cohesive relationship, and that would all be about building relationships between student associations, faculty, and basically everybody involved on both sides. And like I said, it needs to be a relationship that works both ways and works to the benefit of everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Nick?
I think we as a city have a tremendous opportunity having the state's largest public university located in our community. As a council and as an organization, we really thought about how we better engage students. I think the partnership between the Chamber and the Political Science Club is a great example of how students get involved in community programming and understand that they're in a formative time in their lives where they really understand how to become a citizen of the world, be an engaged and active community member, how to volunteer on boards. We've got lots of opportunities for college students to volunteer on our boards, attend our events. We also try to invest in the types of programs and services that help students feel comfortable in Brookings, whether that's public transportation, events that draw them into our downtown, a variety of housing opportunities in the community. I think we have an opportunity in the community that we continue to make progress on, but we have room to improve, which is the retention of SDSU graduates, helping them to get connected in our community during the 4 or 6 years that they're in Brookings so that they want to put down roots in Brookings, find long-term employment here, have access to housing here, take advantage of programs and amenities in Brookings that increase the likelihood that they'll stay here post-graduation.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Al. The city of Brookings owns municipal utilities and our hospital. What governance do you believe should the council be providing to be sure citizens receive the best services for the most reasonable price, other than listening to reports from those serving on the boards of those entities? Sorry. So, governance to BMU and our hospitals what should come from the council rather than just listening to the reports from those serving in ex officio positions on those boards?
I guess when it comes to those, you know, I have some friends that work in those different departments, and one best way to kind of spur some conversation is to start talking about what they do, and they're both very important to the citizens of Brookings, the services they provide. The money that they create, I mean, BMU, all of their customers are citizens of Brookings. So their fees are not a tax, but it's still paid for by all of the citizens of Brookings. So their boards and everything need to be communicating very well with the city council and the community as well, so that the community understands where that money is going after they have paid it. So they say it's not a tax, but yet we don't have any, we can't decide whether or not we want to pay it. You know, like I say, it's there. So the citizens of Brookings deserve very much transparency as to how that money is being spent. Thanks.
Nick?
Well, I guess my first response would be not to minimize the impact of having ex officio serving on those boards and providing reports at our public meetings. I think our council members that serve as ex officios on those boards get an understanding of the basic operations of municipal utilities and the hospital. They understand when they're considering fee increases, they understand their revenues and some of the basic principles of their operations. I think it also puts us in a good position to strengthen our partnership. I use municipal utilities as an example. When we're considering development throughout the community, our understanding of the utilities, forthcoming projects and priorities gives us a good understanding of how we can collaborate. Right now, Brookings Municipal Utilities, of course, is investing in wastewater treatment facility, which will be a major project. And I think gives us opportunities to think about what other projects could be related to such a significant investment that organization is making. Just a couple of years ago, I think our partnership with the Brookings Health System, when we were in the middle of a public health crisis, greatly benefited the community, and the fact that we had a strong relationship there meant that they were good partners in communication and offering basic services. And so I don't want to minimize that relationship, but I think we've got a benefit in Brookings that we have a municipally owned hospital and utility.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I think we're very fortunate to have the entities that we have with the Brookings Hospital, who is year after year recognized as a very strong hospital in our region. We'll have those services here. We have the modern, up-to-date facilities. We have great staff. We have who give great care. And our utilities are extremely efficient and dependable. When we had the little hiccup with the derecho, it was about the first time I can ever remember that we didn't have it. We couldn't turn the power on, but we just, you don't realize how much you rely upon those services. And we have some dedicated people there that are providing that. And they are independent from the city, but we are still informed on what they do. And I think we're just fortunate to have both of those entities serving us so well.
Great, thank you. Just a reminder to those watching in the audience, if you've got more questions for us, please feel free to fill out one of the little question forms. We will take a couple more questions. Moving on, next question goes first to Nick. There has been conversation on a new city public safety building. What's your position on the location, the timing, and how the citizens of Brookings are going to end up paying for that?
Well, I think the reality is that we do need a new public safety facility. We have analyzed the lifespan of our existing facility and whether or not it would be more cost effective to rehabilitate the existing facility or to build a new facility. All indications right now are that it would be more cost effective to build a new facility. I think we've also evaluated the current location of the Public Safety Center, and I think there's some pros of it being located in the core of the community close to downtown. I think we've also come to the understanding that perhaps that particular property could be more effectively used if the Public Safety Center were located someplace else. And so right now I lean toward relocating the Public Safety Center to property outside of downtown and reutilizing that. Right now we are kind of squirreling away dollars because the price tag is high for building a new facility. And so we are saving as many dollars now in our long-term capital improvement plan so that we are prepared over the next couple of years to make a considerable investment in a new public safety center.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, as Nick said, that we are in a good position to move forward with that plan to build a new facility, and I think we're all on board with the idea that it's something that is a priority for the City Council to determine a site. We've looked at several different sites. There's always been some issue that we didn't anticipate when we started out that makes it that site not viable. But we'll find this site, and we also are in a good position that we actually, as Nick says, we have quite a bit of the money designated for that. And I think most of us feel that we would rather not go into a bond to build that, but I think when we can put everything together, get the site, we'll be moving forward and getting that done.
Great. Al?
I guess haven't done the research on what the plans are or whatever for a new facility, but all I can say about that is anything as a major capital investment would need entire community collaboration. Bring everybody together, make sure that we're making the best decision possible, spending the money as wise as we can, and also looking at the sustainability of it. Anytime you're doing a project like that, you have to look at the long-term effects, and much to what Wayne said, finding the site be very important, because sometimes it's easy to look a little bit down the road and think, oh, that's not a bad idea, but we got to make sure we're looking a long ways down the road, both for where it will be located, how will it be funded, where will the funding come to maintain it, so that we make sure that our tax dollars are being spent as wisely and efficiently as possible.
Thank you. The next question will start with Wayne. What is your vision regarding the city's approach towards diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay. Well, that's an area that I think Brookings has excelled in. I think, in my estimation, I've always, wanted to be as open as possible in our city. I know our hiring practices are geared to inclusion, and I think that our city is one of the few cities in South Dakota that receives the recognition for inclusiveness and inclusion, and I would always support continuing on that path.
Great. Same question to you, Al.
Ironically, I was asked this question yesterday morning when I was at Hy-Vee having coffee, and kind of caught me a little bit off guard. But, my simplest answer to that is, I grew up as a Christian. I still am. Treat everybody as how you would want to be treated. Treat everybody with respect, and be open and listen to everybody, and not go down the path of trying to seclude different groups to show that we are different, because we're not different. We're all people. And as long as we're honest and open and fair to everyone, that is the best way that can be achieved.
Thank you. Nick?
I think this is a point of pride in Brookings, although I think we have continued work to do. We are the only city in South Dakota that has a perfect 100 MEI municipal index in terms of our inclusivity score. In fact, we're one of the only cities in America that has a perfect 100 score, and that indicates that we have hiring practices in our city organization. We have protections in housing and in employment. We have training for city employees and in our police department. And all of those things help us to earn that perfect 100 score, which I think we've been awarded 4 consecutive years now. But there is continued work to do. I think what we continue to hear from employers in the community is that they have a diversified workforce, and they've got to get better at ensuring that more folks of color and more folks that come from different places and first-generation Americans can feel at home in Brookings, would consider moving to Brookings and going to work in Brookings and being retained. We know we have continued increasing diversity in our school district, so how do we help those students be successful and those families to feel connected in our community so that they'll put down roots here, go to work here, purchase homes here, and live in Brookings safely and happily long-term.
Thank you. This next question goes first to Al, and it relates a little bit to your opening statement. Explain your current efforts to engage the public and your plans for the future to be sure you're hearing from a diverse group of citizens.
Well, number one, I'm available and open to anybody at any time. If there's something that's going to, an ordinance change or zoning change or anything like that, the first thing before even discussing that would be to go talk to the people who are going to be affected by that. Listen to them, hear what their concerns are, and then take their concerns seriously. It may seem like it's not a big deal to you, but to somebody else, that's their life, that's their livelihood. They need to be heard. I know in the past, there's different times they have coffee with the council and whatnot. A guy like me, I'm not able to attend that because I'm working 8 to 5 or longer, Monday through Friday. I will say right now, if you want to have coffee with me, I'm available for coffee anytime, Saturday morning. I can be reached on the phone. Pretty sure half of Brookings County has it anyway. Facebook page, go to that, instant message, find my email. You can go online and call my office, leaving me a message.
Thank you. Nick?
One of the things that we implemented during my time on the council is the creation of a new position, which is a public information officer, which I think has really helped to streamline our communication efforts. That's everything related to snow removal, zoning changes or considerations, public meeting information. I think that's enhanced communication between the city and the community. I think something else that we've learned, and I've certainly learned during my time on the council, is that even when folks aren't sitting in the gallery, perhaps they're watching at home. I think we've made our meetings more accessible. You can view via Facebook Live or on YouTube or on the city's page or on the cable channel. I use social media a lot. I post updates on my Facebook page, and I receive a lot of feedback there. I try to respond to every single email I receive from a concerned citizen. The Coffee with the Counselors has been a great way to meet folks in an informal setting. I think sometimes it's sort of intimidating to come into chambers and speak into that microphone and ask questions in a public meeting. So when we can greet the public in a more informal setting, I think it's also important to have counselors that are engaged and involved in the community. And so I try to be out and among the community as much as possible.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, we've talked a little bit about our coffee with the counselors, and we're going to continue that, and we're going to try to have it on times that are more conducive to people that have 8 to 5 jobs and that type of thing. We've started to look at actually attending meetings that are already scheduled, like the downtown business group or something like that, where we don't have to have schedule a separate meeting just for our coffee with the counselors. We'll go in and talk to the people that are already meeting. So we're trying to expand that. We've had our outreach at the university where we went to the student senate meeting. So that's all part of our process, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question, and that will go first to Nick. The city of Brookings has used the city manager form of government now for over 25 years. During that time, the council has become less directly involved in boards and commissions as staff members have kind of taken those roles and reported back. And so the question is, do you believe this is best for the city? And should council members be more involved in those boards, committees, and events in a direct way?
I absolutely believe our current form of government is the best form of government to serve a growing and changing community. We have a city manager form of government, which also means that we have experts leading departments and divisions that have real expertise in the area of engineering and stormwater management and in the landfill, in public information, in library services. These are folks who have real expertise in that field. And so as counselors, we try to provide guidance and support to those folks, receive as much information from those folks as possible, understand what's happening in our boards and commissions, which are populated by citizens who are also connected to the council. But I think that our city manager form of government, which relies upon subject matter experts to lead those departments and divisions as efficiently as possible, understand best practices in the industry, manage their budgets, plan for a decade in the future where investments need to come and how we update facilities and how we modernize programs and services, puts us in the best position to continue to progress as a community. As counselors, we've got to continue to provide leadership and guidance, but we've got experts out in those departments doing real strong work.
Thank you. Wayne, same question to you.
You know, Nick covered it very well. The city manager form of government, I think, is what the city of Brookings needs. It would be very difficult for the city council to come up with all of the planning and the consistent approach to government that we have now. And we have oversight and we have input, but we don't we don't tell the street department people what to do, or I have no direct role in that type of management, and I don't want to. I think it's very much the system that we need going forward, and I think it's served us very well, and we've been very progressive, very aggressive in our approach to government, and I think I support that going into the future.
Thank you. Al?
I think the form of government, city manager versus strong mayor, that could be debated quite extensively. We don't have enough time to do that right here, right now. But we do have a city manager who is managing. We do have department heads. We have people with a lot of experience. But I guess I would say that we have a lot more experience out in the community. And that brings me right back to community engagement. Sometimes we have to flip the coin. Not all the answers are in this building. And that's why when things are going on, we need to be engaged with the public, because they are out there. They know what goes on every single day. They are out talking to people, driving the streets, knowing what's going on, and they need to be listened to. And as far as, along that lines, that's why, at every city council meeting, this room should be full so that everybody can speak their mind and be heard.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Wayne. Right now, the city offices close on Friday afternoons in favor of providing flexibility to employees. Can you discuss your position on that change, and how do you balance the needs of employees for flexible time with citizens who need to be able to contact staff?
Well, I've heard discussion about that before, and seems to be that's more of a trend, I think, in a lot of businesses, that if you go into different places on a Friday afternoon, it's going to be a little bit hard to find someone. But I think there's different ways of trying to accommodate our employees, and there's different types of compensation, and if it works out that having the Friday afternoon off is a benefit without providing or incurring a lot of cost to the city, it's probably worth with maintaining that. Once everybody knows that Friday afternoons the city offices are going to be closed, I guess you just have to make accommodations for that. But it's just a benefit that we can offer that I think we should do.
Great. Moving on. Al.
I can appreciate the changing times, work-life balance. My opinion on that is it should be studied as to the hours that are being worked, but I believe that it should be open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, even if it's not full staff every afternoon. As a small business owner, I can tell you that I try all the time. I'm going to take Friday afternoon off. Doesn't work. People have needs. They have questions. They want to be able to get a hold of somebody. And I think as basically employees, there's not one single person on the council or anything else that is not considered an employee of the people of Brookings. And if you are employed by the people of Brookings, you owe it to them to be available as much as possible.
Nick.
The city of Brookings as an organization, I think, was confronting what so many businesses and organizations have been confronting over the last several years, which is an employee retention issue. And so we talked to our employees to find out what types of initiatives or changes could be put in place that would increase retention and job satisfaction. One of the things they indicated was more flexible work hours. And so we piloted an effort to close city offices on Friday afternoon. And what we've heard from employees so far is that it's increased satisfaction. It gives them more flexibility during the week to go to appointments and catch up with their kids' activities and appointments and give, in some cases, our employees some downtime to work in the offices when there's not public traffic coming in and out of the office. So it's increased their productivity to some extent as well. I think it's an ongoing study. We'll continue to analyze whether or not it's, the pros and cons. The pros are outweighing the cons of closing our offices on Friday afternoon, but it came as a direct result of employee feedback, and I think it's something we'll continue to analyze.
Thank you. Our final question before we go into closing comments is going to start out with Al. So citizens are generally appreciative of the tree planting initiative last year and excited about the implementation of ongoing parks master plan. Are you in favor of continuing the tree planting efforts and the implementation of that parks master plan?
Well, I can tell you with my background, I'm all in favor of planting trees. I actually have a couple different projects working on with private developers on planting trees, trying to make private park spaces available and whatnot. So it's one of those things, they say the best time to plant a tree, 20 years ago. So that is something that the parks plan needs to be looked at now for the years down the road so that we still have those parks to enjoy for not only us, but for our children and grandchildren.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the tree planting initiative and the Boulevard Improvement Initiative. Obviously, the derecho a couple of years ago had a real negative impact on trees throughout the community, and so this is an opportunity for us to replant and replace some of those maturing trees. I think it's given an opportunity for homeowners to identify the tree species they want on the boulevard in front of their home and make an investment in their property, and for us to partner with them in doing so. I think in particular, as our neighborhoods expand, it's an opportunity for us to ensure that a generation from now, we have tree cover and a tree canopy that we enjoy in some of our neighborhoods, that can be spread throughout the community. As for the Parks Master Plan, I'm also really excited about seeing that plan begin to move into implementation phase. I think a point of pride for the community is our green space and our parks and recreation system, our bike and walking trail system. But there are always opportunities for improvements, and the lists of potential investments is as long as my arm. And so the plan helps us to take some of those opportunities from possibilities to priorities. And probabilities. And so the plan helps us to really identify what is possible over the next couple of years with a lot of community feedback.
Thank you. Wayne?
Well, I'm certainly in favor of implementing the park master plan, and the whole idea of planting trees is something that we just need to do. It's interesting to see how many trees we actually lost with that storm. When you just walking the trail in Indian Hills and you see all this where they ground out all the stumps. I mean, there is just a large number of trees gone, and I think we just need to start putting them back in the ground and getting them going. So, all in favor of both of those initiatives.
Thank you. As we close out today, each candidate will get 3 minutes of closing comments. We'll go in reverse order. So Al, we'll start with you.
Well, like I said, I'm new to public politics, but I have been around for over 30 years in small business. I can assure you there is not a road, a street, an alley in the city of Brookings that I have not traveled, worked at. I'm out in the community every single day dealing with homeowners, business owners, general public. And like I've stated before, the public, it's their taxes that pay for everything, whether it's their utility rates, their sales tax, their property tax. So ultimately, we need to be able to answer to the citizens. And like I said before, listen, learn, lead. Listening will create dialogue. Dialogue creates new ideas. From new ideas, we can move forward and lead. So I'll say it 100 times, public engagement is my passion. I have a Facebook page. Like I say, I am available anytime, and I'd love to knock on every door in Brookings. Unfortunately, I can't do that, but I would love for anybody in Brookings that has a question or a concern, please bring it to me so we can have that dialogue and discussion so I can understand, what your thoughts are, where you're coming from, and what you would like to see out of the city of Brookings. Will we agree on everything? Probably not. But I think a lost art is the art of being able to respectfully disagree. But if you give people the opportunity to state their opinions, then you can come to respect their opinions rather than telling them your opinion and not listening to them. So like I said, community engagement is my number one priority. It always will be. And I encourage anyone to come with me with anything. But most importantly, please get out and vote. Brookings historically, I think the last election we had 15%. That's not good. Even if we double that, it's still poor. So let's try to encourage everybody to get out and vote. Encourage your neighbor to vote. Give somebody a ride to help vote. But number one thing, let's get people out to vote. We have an election. We've had a lot of uncontested elections. We have a choice. So let's just take advantage of it and see how many people we can get to the polls this cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Wayne.
An effective city council member needs to have a basic knowledge of the community, understand the rules and regulations that govern the council, be able to successfully interact with people, be a problem solver, effectively communicate ideas, listen and attempt to achieve consensus on issues. The city council does not have the luxury of focusing on a single issue. The council deals with a new set of issues on a bi-weekly basis. You need to make decisions and move on. Power, authority, control, influence. A city council member by himself, herself, has very little power. The only power you have is working through your fellow council members to achieve or to achieve the goals of the city. An individual council member can have influence by showing up at the meetings prepared to discuss the issues and provide valuable input. The current city council is making a concerted effort to establish more interaction with the community by hosting coffee with the councilors, attending question and answer city forums, like the recent strategic planning sessions for the downtown Brookings Public Library and the Brookings Activity Center. Someone once told me that if you are the smartest person in the room, you're likely in the wrong room. I've had the privilege to be in the room with some of the smartest and most dedicated people that I know. The council members and the staff come from differing backgrounds with a common goal of making Brookings a better community for everyone. I know the process, I know the community, I have built relationships. I am well positioned to be an effective council member. Please reelect me on April 9th. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick.
Thank you. Well, over my last 8 years on the council, I've often said that I think Brookings is the best city in South Dakota. In fact, I think it's one of the finest communities in the upper Midwest, but it didn't become that way on accident. I think it became that kind of city because of generations of leaders that had a big vision for this place. And they matched their vision with a willingness to invest their time and their talent and their treasures in Brookings. And we all are here benefiting from that vision and that investment. I sort of think a chief responsibility of a council member is stewardship, and I've been real privileged to be a steward of the community. During my time on the council, I've invested in or recognized the investment in infrastructure, as I noted, and quality of life initiatives. We have invested time and energy and resources in improving access to education and childcare, in public health and mental health resources, to create more workforce and affordable housing, to work with partners at the university and the school district in economic development and utilities and the health system in Brookings County. Those types of partnerships, I think, improve this place. And when we work together, I think we continue to help this city progress. I'm really proud of Brookings. I'm proud that we're home to the state's largest public university. I'm proud that we're also home to the second most manufacturing sector employees in the state. I'm proud that we are a hub for agriculture and arts and culture, for healthcare and financial services and tourism and research and discovery. I'm really proud of the work that we've done on the council, and I'd love an opportunity to serve in another term. So I've appreciated the conversation this morning. I appreciate your questions. Looking forward to the continued conversation over the next couple of weeks, and I hope you'll get out and vote on April 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you, attendees, for your questions and your participation this morning. And again, just a reminder, this will be rebroadcast on Mediacom Channel 9 on Sunday at 1 and on Monday at 7 p.m. It'll also be on the Chamber of Commerce's YouTube channel on Monday. If you haven't already gotten caffeinated, there's probably still some in the back. Thank you again for coming and participating this morning. We look forward to hearing the results on April 9th.